Ladies and gentlemen, Cranked and Ranked has returned with another band discography ranking. Hello, I'm Old Head. With me, as always, Eddie Sparxx.
Who are you to rank these albums? You must have been out your head.
Oh,
That
was pretty good.
I just kind of surprised myself, actually. That's some good flow on that.
Yeah.
Big Tool if you're hiring.
That was so good. I lost my train of thought. I was like, that was a pretty solid intro, really quickly, and getting into the point. But in case you're new, which you may be, this is Cranked and Ranked. It's a podcast / YouTube show where we rank band discographies and have a really lengthy discussion about them. And we've been doing this now for over 3 years, into our fourth year of doing this. And it took us this long to get to Tool. So, which, it's so funny because we were talking about this last time we did an episode where we were looking at the list of bands we haven't done yet. And the list of bands we have done is already really long, but then looking at I'm like, holy shit, we're going to be retired gentlemen by the time we get to the end of all of the shit. I will be anyway. Eddie is 20 years younger than me.
We're gonna be in we're gonna be in our respective nursing homes. Like, my number 2 Rage Against the Machine album is,
Yeah.
Don't worry, you won't have to wait that long.
Not for Rage. We're gonna get to that one. But yeah, Tool. We finally got to Tool. And this is going to be a very interesting ranking. We decided to do all 5 of their full lengths, but also include Opiate, their first EP, in the ranking. And I guess normally it feels like, to me, like we forgot to do something, but really this is just us jumping into a ranking quickly and to the point, which I think some people out there would appreciate. Others like it when we just go on and on about shit that isn't related at all. I'm sure that will happen. But this is an interesting one for me because I like Tool. I would not necessarily call myself a fan because there will be actual fans watching that would agree that I'm not actually a fan. But
Tool fans are a different breed, though, man.
True. But they're very special in my life because the very first concert I ever went to, that was like an actual real concert, was Tool with the Flaming Lips and Failure back in 1994.
Holy shit.
And so before that, I had only been to local, seeing my buddies' bands play or whatever. That was the first bought a ticket, went to a show. And I did a whole podcast episode. You can find it out there, and type in Old Head Podcast First Shows, I think is what it's called. I do an entire story where I talk about my experience at that show. But we usually talk about where a band came into our lives, and that was around that time because I was one of those young teenagers who saw the video for Sober on Headbangers Ball, and I was just like, this song fucking kills. So I went and bought the first Tool album on cassette and played the fuck out of it. And then, of course, after it's what seemed like years of me begging my parents to let me go to a rock concert, they finally said yes to this one, and so I was very excited about that. But the Tool for me in the beginning was there was a whole bunch of these bands in the late 80s and early 90s that seemed like I related to them a lot more than other ones because they kind of didn't fit in anywhere, but they were still heavy rock music with aggressive qualities. And the ones that you couldn't quite put into a category were the ones that kind of spoke to me because I
Yeah.
always kind of felt that way. Like I didn't really fit in with metalheads, and I also didn't fit in with like the alternative folk because I liked metal, and so it was it was weird. So a band like Tool at the time was it really spoke to me, and I really liked what they were doing. And that first show was pretty cool. I'll get to that when we actually talk about the album Undertow, because that was the tour. But yeah, that was my exposure to Tool. Was like a lot of people through the Sober video. And what was your first exposure to Tool?
My first exposure initially would have been 46 and 2. And it happened to be on, I've mentioned this before, but for anyone who hasn't heard it before, sorry, excuse me. I had a pizza and it's like weirdly fucked my throat. But yeah, the song 46 and 2,
Yeah.
I heard it and I thought it was really cool, but it was like early on in my like discovery of like rock and metal. So it was a
Hmm.
little bit out there for what I was looking for at the time. I just wanted digga 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 digga,
Yeah.
like just that. But like this was a lot more cerebral, and it took me several years, maybe even like a whole decade on, to really come to appreciate Tool. But like I'd heard the big songs gradually over the years, like Schism,
Yeah.
um, all of the big Tool songs,
Yeah.
Sober, the Pot, just all sorts, like all of the big ones. If you were to compile like a Tool greatest hits, I'd heard all of the hits.
Yeah.
But um, really, it wasn't until like my band Sage kind of came together. By the way, stream Sick by Sage on all your uh, streaming platforms. Yeah, that's my little shameless plug of the episode. Um, but yeah, it was mainly Callum, frontman in our band, who turned me on to Tool a lot more, because he was like, "Hey man, I got us tickets to go see Tool at the O2 Arena." I was like, "Oh, holy shit! Oh, awesome!" And then I went and saw them, and saw their live show
Hmm.
that they have now, and it
Yeah.
was like it was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and
Yeah.
it totally stands out as a concert experience. Even if they're not one of my like favorite bands, they definitely stand out as like a go see them live, you know.
Yeah.
And don't look at cheekily recorded um phone footage, because you should have been thrown out for that. That's not part of the Tool rules. There's Tool rules.
Yeah.
And you don't film their concerts, man. That's lame. You're supposed to be in there for the experience. That being said, though, um it's really cool how they present themselves. Tool is cool. uh
They need to do a show at this brand new. Have you seen any of the footage of the huge dome thing from Las Vegas that just opened?
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
So the opening show just happened a couple nights ago, and it was U2. And I whatever, I can take or leave U2, but even like people's TikToks of it look
Whoa.
fucking amazing because
Holy
it's literally a
shit.
giant dome, and the entire thing is like a high definition screen.
Look at
And
that.
there's a point where it literally looks like the whole venue is outside, but they're not. They're in the dome. It's pretty fascinating. But the point being that Tool seems like a band that could take that and fucking blow it out. Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
have what have you seen? Oh, U2, yeah, very nice. Now let's watch Tool. That seems like a perfect venue for Tool. But
Yeah. That's
but it just
insane.
yeah, yeah, and I've never wanted to go to Las Vegas ever in my life, but now I'm all like, that's kind of cool. Anyway,
We're gonna be doing
um,
the slots.
I probably would just to say I did it,
Yeah.
but yeah. So so Tool was never on any Grand Theft Auto games. That
Not
was
as far as I can tell. Yeah, but
There's a guy on TikTok that posts these videos, and I laugh every single time. But essentially, all it is in one of the Grand Theft Auto games, the guy's on a motorcycle, and he specifically rams himself into a car, so he flies through the air like over the city, and
yeah.
Every single time it happens, I laugh my ass off because it's so stupid how he just goes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is the most entertaining thing ever. He could just do this over and over again. And I'm just like, oh, is he going to go over to the hospital this time? Oh, did he make it over to the water? Oh, he did. Like, it's just so much fun. And it's the stupidest
Yeah.
thing ever. It's like a little hidden game within the game. Like, how far
Yeah.
can you throw your guy off a motorcycle?
I remember there's a really buggy swing set in GTA 4 that if you back your car onto it, like one of the beams, it'll like shake violently and then just fling you like a catapult in your car, and you land wherever it launches you. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, even if
that's pretty funny.
GTA 4 is like one of my least favorite GTAs, gotta hand it to him. That swing set, a good
Yeah.
few hours of my 13-year-old self were just spent doing that.
Yeah, that's. I almost just want them to make a game that's just that. You drive your motorcycle into something and you see how far the dude will fly over the
Um,
city.
there has to be something out there, like even if it's like a mobile version. There's got to be something. That sounds too fun to have
I
not been
think there
done.
are games like that, but it has to be in that scenario where it's so
Yeah.
detailed, and sometimes he just hits random people and they're all like, "Hey, buddy," and stuff like that. Anyway, so all right, back to Tool. See, this happens sometimes. We'll get off on a tangent, but we are going to focus in now on ranking 6 Tool releases, 5 full lengths, 1 EP, and yeah, I feel like, for Tool fans out there, I'm going to preface this by saying that in order to really dig into these albums, I have to critique and criticize things in the Tool albums. I had my first run in with the Tool fan base early on in my old head videos where I reacted to the first song that was released from Fear Inoculum. And I wasn't even I enjoyed the song, but I was kind of being goofy and kind of pointing out how some of it just sounded very similar to other things they had already did, and that was enough to set those motherfuckers
Yeah.
off. And I was just like, "Wow, that is so interesting," because I wasn't even being rude or saying it sucked. Like, imagine if I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
But
You'd have an AC-130 circling your house right this minute.
shit. So the point being is that if you are one of those, you're gonna be unhappy because I'm gonna say plenty of really nice things, but I'm gonna also say some critical things as well. But that's just how it goes. That's how it goes. It can't always be a love fest, but I can say before we even start that I don't think there is any bad Tool album or release. I think everything is
Agreed.
of a super high quality and impressive in their own different ways. But
Yeah.
that being said, let's get into this and let's start with number 6. And as usual, I throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to start us off with his number 6 Tool album.
Okay, so my number 6 Tool album is 2006's 10,000 Days.
All right, cool.
And this album for me, it really came down to the ratio of interlude to song.
Yeah.
And this album, for its length, like all Tool albums are long, with the notable exception of Opiate, which is an EP. So I was talking to Callum, and he said he would rate 10,000 Days as his favorite if it weren't for the fact that there's about 5 songs in there he really loves, and the rest of it is kind of meandering around that vibey Tool stuff
Yeah.
that gradually crept in over the years. And I feel like this is where it kind of hit a wall where it was like, okay, well, what are we actually here for? So, you got Vicarious, which is a great opener.
Mhm.
Jambi, great follow up. Love the guitar rhythms on this, like like love that.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that there's a lot of emotional weight to do with this album as well, because like I've heard it's a concept album about his mother who passed away from cancer, and Wings for Mary. Um, this two-parter, Wings for Murray is a full-blown viber. and then 10,000 Days, title track, Wings Part 2. Second half goes a bit harder, but it's still in the vibe zone. So
Yeah.
after two big rockin' songs, you get this vibey epic ballad sort of thing. Then you get the pot, which is excellent. But like, here's the thing. This is the problem with this album personified. When you get Lipan Conjuring is an interlude, immediately followed by Lost Keys, Blame Hoffman, which is another interlude.
Mhm.
So you get
Yeah.
like an interlude into another interlude. Then you get Rosetta Stoned, which is a heavy track about aliens and shitting the bed. And then you get Intention, which is just vibes, right into, has some cool riffage towards the end. And then Virginity Trees, or Trays, sorry, I wrote Vagina Trees. Virginity Tree. It's like this final interlude outro thing. So, like, of all that, Vicarious, Jambi, The Pot, Rosetta Stone, and maybe Right in Two are like the heavy ones, but like you got both Wings tracks, two interludes next to each other, and then it's mainly down to the fact that this album just felt like the most meandering Tool album, where like
Hmm.
there were moments where Tool are not like a shreddy band. They're not hard songs in terms of like
Yeah. Yeah.
arpeggiated fucking Ingve shred. The hardest thing in this band definitely would be playing the drums,
Yep.
because Danny Carey is a alien. Um, but most of all, it's all about polyrhythms and stuff
Yeah.
when it comes to Tool's writing and that. But really, for me, this album, I could genuinely I can understand if the intention was to get lost in it, because I know Tool is a very headphones on,
Yeah.
lay down and take this whole thing in from start to finish, which I totally get. I
Hmm.
totally am all for an album experience. Um, However, when you stack it next to stuff like Anima and Lateralis leading up to it, which managed to do a more engaging version of what 10,000 Days did, it just, this is the album that found its way at the bottom for me, because even though its highs are extremely high, there's a lot of like dead weight for me here that like, to be fair, I could do without a lot of the interludes on all the Tool albums.
Yeah.
Like, I would, at most, I would rather them just like put cool vibey shit at the end of each song as like a last 30 seconds of, oh, where are we going now? I don't
Yeah.
think they need an interlude to be like 4 minutes.
I think it would be different if they weren't a band that already put sections in songs that felt like interludes, and then they also
Mm,
have interludes. There's a whole lot of wanking off, as the Brits would say, in
yeah.
Tool's song catalog. Whether that, and I don't necessarily mean, like you said, it's not like guitar wanking. It's very just like, oh, this is just a move and a mood, and I have this guitar pedal that I have on this
Yeah.
particular setting to where I can play 3 or 4 notes, but it sounds like a lot more, and I'm going to keep that going for 5 minutes. Like that's, I mean,
Yeah.
there are times where something like that is highly effective, and sometimes in Tool songs it is highly effective, and other times it really just seems like I'm wasting parts of my life listening to it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely. I think it says a lot that earlier on today I went to make a playlist to like listen to in the car, and I was gonna call it Tool No Bullshit,
yeah,
where it was just all of the songs, just no interludes, none of the extra stuff, just
yeah,
the meat of the songs. Come to find that there's like 100 Tool playlists called Tool No Bullshit. So
that's
I'm not
funny.
the first. I'm not the first person to say this. But granted, I do respect filling the entire runtime of a CD with material that you've got in terms of wanting to make it like an art piece from start to finish. And I get if you've got a lot of stuff and you want people to get lost in it, that's great. But my ears personally don't work that way. So I'm kind of like, I'd rather you just drop 30 to 40 minutes of banger from start to finish.
So that it's interesting that you bring that up because my critical brain starts to like compare things like that. So you've got a Tool album that makes it to 78 minutes or whatever, almost the full runtime of a CD.
Yeah.
And there are sections of songs or interludes where technically not a lot happens in a span of several minutes.
Yeah.
So how then you have another band who is like a rock band that just writes regular ass rock songs. Their album is 78 minutes long and has like 15, 16 tracks. Some people will go, oh, we are guilty of this. We'll go,
Yeah.
oh, there's some real bangers, but then there's some filler tracks there. But wouldn't these long extended sections where nothing's really happening on a Tool album also be filler? They're just not extra songs. So where do
Yeah.
you draw the line? Where is it okay? Is it better to have a song that maybe is not as interesting or as inspired as the other songs? Or extend a part of a song that really probably should be about a minute and a half to 5 minutes, and then you can say, oh, we filled a whole fucking CD with stuff like that. That's my brain is like stuck in the middle of enjoying and being annoyed by both things at the same time, you
Yeah.
know.
I know that feeling. Yeah, for sure. This is, for me, it definitely is a victim of its um overusage of the vibey interlude type feel,
Yeah,
this album. And again, like I say, Vicarious and Jambai, like 1-2 punch, and then the album kind of goes into this holy fuck, this is a long experience
yeah,
where like it I don't know whether or not it just they're a victim. Well, they're not necessarily a victim, so to speak. It's more just the fact that they saw that they could fill a CD and were like, and
yeah,
they've been doing that from the start. I mean, Undertow has like 7 minutes of crickets on the end of it,
yeah,
with a phone message thrown in there as a little Easter egg.
yeah. I
But
would be
yeah,
interested. They would never do this, but I would love it if Tool, as a challenge, would say, all right, we're going to write the new Tool album. We're not allowed to use any guitar effects except for distortion or no distortion. Clean distortion, that's all we can use. We're not allowed. It's literally going to be writing an album and recording an album as a band with literally nothing else. And I would love to see. Obviously, they did that in the past. That would be Opiate, and then going into Undertow. But Undertow has a little bit of that. But now, as like 50-year-old dudes or whatever, I'd be interested to see like what can you do and how would you make it interesting for yourselves if you take all of this other shit away. But then if you take all the other shit away, is it really a Tool album at this point? Because I think everybody's gotten to the point where the
yeah,
fans anyway have gotten to the point where there's a level of psychedelic progressiveness or whatever that people expect,
yeah,
and that's fine. But I would be very fascinated to hear them stripped down now, seeing what they would do. But
yeah. Because they're of that era where it's like we're gonna throw a curveball at you, that '90s alternative metal thing where it was like,
yeah,
and I'm gonna look like a fanboy here because I'm wearing their shirt. But Faith No More always put out albums where they almost kind of dissed their former selves, where they were like, "Oh,
yeah,
you know that album we just did? Yeah, we don't like that anymore. Fuck that," because it was always like Real Thing and then Angel Dust, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not funk metal. Fuck you." And then they had loads of samples and keyboards on Angel Dust, and then King for a Day had no samples at all, and it was like very in a room.
yeah,
Um, and then album of the year, they brought the keyboards back, and they had more of a computerized sort of futuristic kind of feel going on, and it's just like Tool very much feels like a very gradual progression. You know, considering the albums come out for the most part long times apart.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only standard gap you could call is the one between Undertow and Anima. The rest of them are like 5+ year gaps.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
notably the one that was 13 years long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're camped out on 10,000 days still, but
Well, I mean, if you're done, we can move on.
yeah, I just thought, all in all, this is the most meandering Tool album in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it found itself at the bottom.
Well. Funny enough, we can come out of that 13-year gap with my number 6, which is Fear Inoculum from 2019, their 5th album, and so yeah, I because it'd been a long time since Tool had put something out, so I was a little bit excited to hear what they would do because I'm like, oh man, it's been I didn't realize at that point because I'm not like a huge fan, so I was like, wow, it's been 13 years since they put something out. That let's hear what they got. And I don't even remember the name of the first song that they put out because it's been such a long time since that first single came out. But
Might have been Numa. Let me check that.
could have been. I don't think so. It doesn't matter because it was pretty underwhelming for me. And not that it wasn't of a high quality, because like the entire album sounds fantastic, and it's for what it is, it's well written songs, well performed songs. Danny's an amazing drummer. He's like to me, like he's like their legit secret weapon, because he's the one legitimately unfuckwithable part of the band. Because like I could hear criticisms about anybody else what they do in the band, and I'd go, you got a point. But if anybody says like, yeah, Danny sucks, I'd be like, okay,
You're deaf.
What is wrong with you? Anyway, so but my problem was that Fear Inoculum comes out, and I'm just like, wow, this really doesn't sound any different at all from what they had already done previously. Only now, instead of having some long songs, some interludes, some short, now it's just all long songs. And I feel like I'm not in a position to just let myself go with it. I'm very critical of not only a band that kind of just repeats themselves in a slightly different way, but also just the idea of long songs, and I don't feel like there's enough in it to warrant the length of some of them. Some of them work out great. There are some long Tool songs where I don't think it could have been any different than what they did. But in other cases, it really does feel a bit like they kind of get lost in their own world, and they're just like, well, this is the Tool song, and that's fine. So that's the thing I always have to remind myself, is that I think if I was a massive Tool fan, then the journey would probably be more enjoyable for me. But I can't remove myself from hearing a part of a song and me going, that sounds really similar to like a couple other songs they did, and now they're just repeating this part for 4 minutes, and they've slapped on whatever fancy guitar pedal they're using this time, or recording technique or whatever. That's the thing that's really aggravating about Tool, is that so much conversation is had about everything except for the actual songwriting. So an album comes out and it's like, The album is called this. Oh my God, what does it mean? Here are these song titles. Oh my, what do they mean? There's an explanation for these song titles. Look at
Yeah.
this interesting packaging of the album. Look at the weird advancements in packaging technology or ideas that they've done. It looks so cool. It's so interesting. Oh, and by the way, when we recorded the album, we decided to put a microphone in the corner of the room and use an old microphone from 1920 over in the corner over here. And we use this limited edition amp that only one of them is in existence, and it costs us $500,000 to buy it. That's used on this particular song. Oh, and by the way, we've designed our own pedal boards with our own different kind of effects and stuff. Literally, nothing has been said about the fucking music yet, because I almost feel like it's secondary to everything else. So unfortunately, none of that impresses me at all, because I've done recording before, I've been in a studio before, and I know what actually makes a difference to the average listener and what doesn't. Somebody using a fucking decades old amplifier, or using a direct link into a fucking garage band, your average listener isn't going to know the fucking difference.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, are you making music for the real uppity folk, or do you want everybody to come on board? And so, and I've always been trapped in the middle, because I think there's a huge part of my personality, a good half of it, where I feel like I'm just a basic bitch. And then the other half of me, I know some things and I've done some things, and you put those together, and then I hear a song and I go, this is so not interesting. And I can hear all of these ways that they're trying to take something that's not very interesting and make it very interesting. And that very much could just be who Tool are as a band now. And if you're a fan of that, awesome. But it's not enough for me. That being said, the album sounds fucking amazing. So I'm just like, it's like who the fuck am I going to argue? Like, they're a very successful band. They have tons of fans that, that rant I just had, go ahead, put some shit in the comments.
That was a really impressive rant as well. Like, you didn't skip a fucking beat. There wasn't one stutter in there, as far as I could tell. You've had that in the chamber.
Sometimes, sometimes I'm good at what I do. Most of the time, I'm not. But I just, so I just think that I think I'm laying it out there that I understand that, I'm most definitely not the target audience for what they're doing now. But just like with a lot of music, I can take a step back and look at everything and all the effort that went into everything, and I go, well, for what it is, they're still a way better band than most bands out there. They're very consistent. There is no band that sounds like Tool. It's just Tool. And then there may be other bands that over the years have like tried to, maybe do their own kind of version of what Tool does, but everybody can see right through that shit, and it doesn't work. So I almost have like so much criticism for them slathered in mad respect, because I'm just like, you guys do you. But with Fear Inoculum, my problem is that it's perfectly fine Tool with absolutely no surprises, but It bothers me because I was such a huge fan in the beginning, and they did music that truly moved me and was very impactful for me. And now it's just kind of like it's moved on to something where I can appreciate that it's good, but I don't really want to listen to it. So that's Fear Inoculum, my number 6 from 2019. Moving on to number 5.
I just wanted to mention before I do move on to number 5 that my favorite thing about Fear Inoculum, outside of the actual album, is the fact that it started a Twitter war with the Taylor Swift fans. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, because didn't they almost beat Taylor Swift in the charts, right?
I think they beat her for a little bit. like
Oh,
because
okay.
it had more pre-orders or something. But yeah, I want to read some of these because they're
Oh shit.
hilarious. It's
All
so
right,
it's
all
so
right.
funny. It's so funny to see commentary from people from a completely different area of music. Like they're music fans, but they're the rabid, obsessive Taylor Swift Swifty fans. So it's funny as fuck. So I really love to see it. I truly was nervous she wouldn't pass Lover because I know the Swift fan base is so big. Anyways, who the fuck is Tool? And can they move their fat ass? Like, genuinely no idea who that is. Am I the only one? What is it? Apparently they were really big in the 90s and had a 13-year comeback. Oh my god, the length of each song left me shook. It's like,
That's great.
oh, where is it? There's one here. Keep streaming, guys. This band Tool is dropping a new album after 13 years. Uh, LMFAO 13 is okay, but we still have a chance. Stream Lover by Taylor Swift harder. Also, here's an abbreviated thing, and Lover seems to be doing well, so we have work. The last album was released 10 years ago, so this new one apparently has more pre-orders on iTunes than Lover. Let's just wait and hope. These people, they act like they're soldiers fighting for like
It and it's funny because on both sides they're fighting for a band that doesn't need their help or an artist that doesn't need their help. Like Tool and
yeah,
Taylor Swift are going to be fine without them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yet they should be putting all their effort into some independent artist, you know?
This is the one. This is the one that got me. This is
Oh shit.
hilarious.
All right.
Yeah, but the bad news is there's a chance of it debuting at number 2 due to a new band called Tool. It's the fact it's new. Prefaced it with new. It wouldn't be as bad, but you had to include new. Oh, this is Taylor Swift. She did not work her socks off for the album and promo for this mess to happen. And it's like, dude, it's a number on a fucking chart. Calm the hell down. She's not gonna
Yeah.
die. This ain't the fucking Hunger Games. This
And
ain't Running Man.
little did they all know that one of those Tool pre-orders was by Taylor Swift herself.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be a plot twist, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of hers really either. But I have no problem. It's the same sort of thing. I look at what she does and I go, I absolutely see the appeal for somebody else, just not me.
Yeah,
But that's so funny because I feel like I relate to a little bit of both of those camps because, like I said, I
yeah,
feel like I fall in the middle of all of that, and I'm pretty sure that the Tool fans said some horrible shit to the Swifties.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, without question.
do Tool fans have a nickname too? Like Swifties and Tools or
Tools.
the Tools?
uh,
But either way, that's just it's so ridiculous to me. Yeah, that wasting that kind of energy on something because, like, we've talked about it before. That it's no secret that we're both, Metallica is our favorite bands, which is in the metal world that's as basic as you can get. But
yep.
when their album comes out and they don't hit number one, I don't. It doesn't. I'm just like, whatever. I bought the fucking album. I'm buying their
Yeah.
merch. I'm going to see them on tour. I'm doing everything I can do. I'm not going to be a jackass that just jumps in and says, "Who the fuck is Maroon 5?" No, that's that's an old reference. Is that? I think they're still a band.
No. They're as far as I can tell, they're still around. I mean, they had some
Okay.
big songs in the 2010s.
But also, how stupid do you look if you're a young Taylor Swift fan and you don't understand how to use Google before you post something? They could have
Yeah.
just, who the fuck is Tool? Oh, maybe type that into the search engine.
Yeah,
But no,
Well,
we're just gonna put it out on Twitter.
yeah. I'm gonna make an ass of myself by being a completely reactionary douche.
Yeah. So that's pretty
New
funny.
band called Tool. Fuck. It's not like 30 years or anything.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that the next time Taylor Swift puts out an album and be like, this brand new artist, Taylor Swift, who the fuck is
Yeah.
this? Never even heard of her. And people are gonna be so mad. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, because if I really didn't know who she was, guess what? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
It's so
That's
easy to
funny.
do that these days. But well, I mean, if Tool did get a number one, that's great. That's a fucking win for for rock and roll, quote unquote. But all right, I just wasn't a big fan of the album. So let's move on to your number five.
Okay, so in a shocking turn of events, a 1992 release has found itself at the lower end of one of my lists, and
Interesting.
I too was shocked by this. And honestly, my 4 and 5 placement could change on any day of the week.
Mhm.
This ended up down here, ironically, because I just felt, I don't know, I felt a little bit like Opiate, if I didn't mention it already. It,
Yeah.
it is an EP, and it's an EP with 2 live tracks on it as well. And I was like, for the first time in a while, I looked at this objectively and thought to myself, I love the vibe here, but
Yeah.
it's not a full on Tool release. So like looking at the albums above it, I found myself thinking, can I really grant it that higher point? And on some days it might be at my number 4, and hell, it may even creep up to number 3. This is an
Yeah.
ever revolving list,
Yeah.
because
Well, I mean, to be fair, like the two live tracks on it, that's the only way you can get those tracks. They didn't do studio versions of those songs.
which is cool.
And
Um,
it's so much so that I love the fact that, like, you know, when you release a track live and that's the only way that it exists, anything around that track is part of the track for me. So it's like
yeah,
he had, so if they ever play it live, he has to say, throw that Bob Marley wannabe motherfucker out of here.
yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to be like, you're doing it wrong.
Isn't there? What's the one in Jerk Off where he goes, a bunch of people on this part of the building used to live in this part of the building, but we just disposed of them as you would any
Yeah,
other
he says, yeah,
roach,
used to be a bunch of assholes in this
termite, or
part of the
roach.
building, but we
Yeah,
systematically removed them like you would any termite or roach. Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah. And that
yeah.
those tracks were recorded at the I don't know what you would call it. It was like it was like a big space owned by Green Jello. Um
Ah,
and
cool.
I think that may have been like where they did a lot of like their stuff for their music videos and stuff, but they also put on shows because they were friends, obviously, because Maynard is in the Green Jello and Danny Carey plays drums on some Green Jello stuff. But
Yeah,
anyway, so yeah, little tidbit.
yeah. The one thing I'll give, this release, the production. I love early '90s feel production wise. Fucking
Yeah,
love that. I love that
yeah,
stripped back but also spacey thing. Um, But like, here's this release's strength: Sweat. Right? It's kind of surreal hearing Tool do 3-minute songs.
yeah.
Like,
And they're
and there's
very effective
killer.
doing 3 minute songs.
Yeah, and I would like to hear more of this. Sprinkle in some
Yeah.
short ones. Um, Hush has some funky bass on it. Part
Oh
of
yeah.
me is just yeah. Part of me is just jerky, odd time fun. Uh, Cold and Ugly, like I said, it's really cool to hear Tool doing something that just feels unapologetically metal sounding.
Yeah.
Um, Great yelling from Maynard on Jerk Off. And finally, yeah, you get Opiate, which is vibey and chunky with a secret psychedelic piss take at the end. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, Opiate, the song feels like they've laid the groundwork for what's to come.
Yeah.
Um, And honestly, like I said, this could very easily be in my top 3,
Hmm.
but just the way I was feeling this time around, shockingly, a release from 1992, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the GOAT year-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking great. We're
Yeah.
in the fucking great zone as far as I'm concerned, because like 10,000 Days, for all its meandering, there's killer shit on that too. Um,
Yeah.
Really, Opiate, really cool. and the only Tool release that really has brevity on its side, because you can be in and out within a half hour.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
I love that. It's not.
yeah,
It's not. It's higher up on my list, obviously.
yeah.
My number five is 10,000 Days from 2006, which
Okay.
you've already talked about. You've already said a lot of what I kind of feel the same. That it does. There are some really strong moments in this album,
Yeah.
and I started to think about it while I was listening to it again, and trying to like think in my head like a way to equate the feeling of wanting to listen to Tool and listening to 10,000 Days. And the best
Yeah.
way that I could come up with it was if you went to somebody and said, "Hey, could you paint me a very intricate painting?" And they said, "Sure." And then they give you a complicated math equation instead. And you're just like,
Yeah. You're not wrong.
still impressive, not what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of like 10,000 Days where it's presented in a way where like I just the scope of it and the sound of it, everything, I'm just like, yeah, great job. But it seems like for me it's a lot of work trying to get through it.
Yeah.
Um but I mean, there's no drop in overall quality. That's the number one thing that I can say for every single one of these albums. That the granted, depending on the time period it came out and recording technology and whatnot, there everything they've done sounds great to me. Um, can't say shit about that, and I really think that yeah, it's so much good shit. But once again, like I said before, I can't remove myself from hearing the rudiments of the song. And once you get most of the way into the album, you're like, oh my god, it's another riff that revolves around the open low string of the guitar. Like
Yeah.
everything just has a very similar vibe, and you for me, you can't just slap an odd time signature on that and expect me to just go, "Oh, that's fine." It's not fine. It's because
Mm.
at the end of the day, you're explaining, and that's the weird thing about time signatures is that some people will give time signatures more of a complicated name than it actually is.
Yeah.
And so, and I've never been the person to like I'm pretty much self-taught on guitar. Never been able to read music on guitar. I learned by ear, and I can play relatively well. I could play everything Tool does, but you go further than that, I probably, no. But um if I hear an odd time signature, I latch onto it and I go, cool, here's what it is. This is the time signature. But then somebody will try to explain that time signature and go, oh no, it's 8/14 or some shit. And I'm just like, but is it really? Because like,
Yeah.
aren't you just making it more complicated? Because really, if you just simplify it, and
Yeah.
break it up into chunks when you're learning to play the music, it's like just because you change the notes, it doesn't mean the beat all of a sudden is extended the entire length of this passage. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess for people that write music and read music and are interested in that aspect of it, it probably makes a lot more sense to them. But to me, it's unnecessary because I'm just like it's because when I listen to it, I go, I know exactly what the time signature is. I could play along with this. It's not
Yeah.
that complicated. There's only a handful of songs I've ever heard in my life that are rock, quote unquote, rock music or metal or whatever, that truly have a time signature and the way the riffs are played where I go, what the fuck is going on? There's only a
Yeah.
handful of those that I've ever heard. Everything else is just kind of um, uh, uh, I don't know, a flowery masking of something that overall isn't as interesting. And that's why, like, we talked about it when we did the Rush ranking because Rush were so good at what they did, there were these odd time signatures in songs that for years I never even noticed that there was an odd time signature. And you go back and you actually listen, break it down, and you go, "Oh wow, that is a little bit weird that this song that just seems so straightforward and hooky has
Yeah.
this weird time signature in it." So like that, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. But that's just another thing that isn't necessarily the actual song that is dumped on this pile of like why Tool is amazing. And I'm never going to say that any of those people are wrong, because if they take those aspects away, is it Tool? No, it's not Tool anymore. So,
Mm.
but when it comes to 10,000 Days, there's just not, there's good shit, but there's not enough for me to grab onto for me to say, hey, that's the album I want to go listen to. I look at it like it's if I'm listening to an album, it's me standing on one end of a football field and going, "Oh, I got to run 100 yards that
Yeah.
way." I'm too old for that shit. So, anyway, 10,000 days, not making any friends, um, here. So yeah, number 4.
Okay. Cool. So wait, number four? Number four. Okay.
Number
Oh,
4.
my number four. Okay,
Your
cool.
number 4.
I got a little fucked up there. So my number four, amazingly, ended up being Undertow this week. And
Wow.
I know, it's weird because Undertow is that like one album where I've seen a lot of lists where it's either really high or at the bottom. And it's like
Yeah.
there's very little in between. I find myself feeling like this is like the middle Tool album for me,
Uh-huh.
and mainly because I like it because it's got a different vibe,
Yeah.
because it's still very early on.
I mean, at the time it came out, it had a different vibe from everything. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's one of the earliest examples of that modern metal sound that would go on to form. You know, there's stuff on this that could come out
Oh,
now.
oh yeah, yeah. There's
Like,
there's so many bands from later on in metal that kind of took from what Tool did a little bit. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, Intolerance, full on groove metal opener. Prison Sex has some cool, sneaky secret agent riffage in this one. You know, there's that like ding, 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 like sort of style riffing.
yep.
Have I ever shown you that? What's he called? K-Mac, that like Scottish guy. Makes funny skits related to like metal and that. It's
Maybe.
funny. He did one where it was how to write a Tool song in 1 minute. And he was like, play Smoke on the Water, but drop it down to the bottom 3 strings, add some odd time signatures to confuse the stoners, and then just take LSD and then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just really funny. I'll have to send it to you if I haven't already.
Okay,
It's
okay.
funny as hell. Sober, the album's big hit. Like this was their breakthrough song, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bottom, Henry Rollins guest spot, which
That gets a big old thumbs up from me.
yeah, and we've got kind of a 6 degrees thing going on lately because each, for some reason, like the last few bands we've covered, like are related in some way, and
Yeah,
last band episode we did was Black Flag, and now we're on Tool, and Henry Rollins shows up, which is fucking awesome.
yeah. This was
Cool one.
there were a handful of those bands that didn't quite fit in that were all intermingling at that time for me, because I remember being like, "Oh my God, Rollins is on this," and I was into the Rollins band, and then
Yeah,
Maynard was on the Rage Against the Machine album, and I was just like, "God, this is cool!" Like it's like
yeah,
all these cool different sounding bands. They're all buddies, and I'm like, "That's awesome."
yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
it makes sense.
Well, it's like how all of the Seattle grunge bands were in everybody's band at some point. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen somewhere there was like a diagram where it was like a family tree of like grunge, and everyone's been in everyone. It's
Yeah, I mean they're a lot of them are all connected in some kind of way from either an actual member or a former member or a short-lived member.
Yeah.
Like there's so many like connections with a lot of those bands.
Well, the prime example is Green River. Green River split off into Mother Love Bone and Mudhoney.
Yeah.
Then Mother Love Bone, Andrew Wood died, so Pearl Jam and Soundgarden teamed up. Well, you know, who would go on to be Pearl Jam and
Yeah.
Soundgarden teamed up, and then of course then you have Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, which is there's a whole ass
And
lineage there.
and let's not forget that also for a very short period of time Jason Everman was in Nirvana and then he was in Soundgarden. And
Yeah,
so like yeah, you really could probably connect everybody together. I guess it is a small area. The Seattle
yeah.
area is not huge. So I guess it
But then
makes
you got
sense.
Mad Season. That's a whole other thing. That
Pearl
granted
Jam
that
and
was
Alice in
later.
Chains, and but not,
Yeah,
not and you and on that first Alice in Chains EP, you've got members of Mudhoney and Soundgarden on that.
yeah,
Like it sounds like a whole other episode we should do at some point.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wink, wink.
but
um,
back to Undertow.
yes. So we've got Crawl Away, which is this vibey, grungy alt metal track. Swamp Song. I love the prominence of the bass in this band. Bass, generally speaking, is, for want of a better word, the most underrated instrument in a band. So when a band goes like whole all in bass driven music, I fucking love that.
Yeah,
Uh, Undertow has some tasty riffage in it. 4 or 4 degrees rather.
four
I l-
degrees. Yeah,
yeah, love me some sitar action. Anything that sounds like a sitar
add
or
that to
is a
your
sitar.
list.
It's in there. It's in there. I've
Okay.
added it. Flood, this sprawling dirgy track, and the last kind of traditional, more rocking track.
Hmm.
So you close out with Disgustipated, which is 6 minutes 45 of weird but cool song. And the rest is literal crickets chirping and a secret little message at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's funny because back in the day, obviously this was 1993. There wasn't streaming, and
yeah,
my album collection wasn't huge. So like albums like this, where now I'd probably be like, God, that last song just kind of goes on. But like I would literally sit down with my headphones and listen to every second of that album all the way through to the
yeah,
end. So if there was a band that was like, oh, we're gonna have this weird 8 minute drony thing, it's not really a song. It doesn't matter because I was like, I only got 30 albums to listen to. I'm listening to this one
yeah.
like all the way through, and something beautiful about that. About because you could say that a big reason why I don't have time for Tool now is because I'm spoiled
Yeah.
with all of the shit.
Well, yeah, I was going to say prime example, that wall of vinyl right there.
Yeah, I have a lot to. Well, the great thing is I've listened to everything that's up there, minus about 6 things that are newer. But
Yeah.
but I do sit down and listen. That's another reason why I like listening to vinyl because it puts me back in the album, mindset. And there is no like, "Nah, I don't feel like hearing this one right. I'm gonna skip past it." I don't ever do that. I'm not gonna get up and lift the needle and try to put it just on the next track. I'm like, nope, this is gonna play through the way it's supposed to
Yeah.
sound, and I love that. It's great, but
I was going to ask one to one, do you have any like skipping issues with vinyl? Because I think my turntable's kind of shitty.
well, it
Maybe.
is like with brand new stuff, it skips.
Yeah, brand new and old sometimes.
Yeah,
Some records are just kind of.
you may need to upgrade your stylus and your because it really depends on what kind of record player is it.
It's a 1993 Sony Stack system.
Oh yeah, just try to look up what kind of stylus you need for that, and just try to get try to get an upgrade if it's possible. I don't know about
Yeah.
older turntables, but I did that with mine. I upgraded every couple of years. I upgrade my stylus to a more expensive one because I hate spending a lot of money on equipment and other things like that.
Yeah.
But little by little, I've upgraded it, and I've noticed that the overall, like if there are any weird issues on albums, sometimes those completely go away with just an upgrade in the stylus.
Wow.
So could be that, but I'm not an expert, but
Fair. Yeah. Vinyl advice.
hey,
There's a nice little segment there. But yeah, Undertow, really cool, most stripped back version of Tool that you'll get on like an LP,
yeah,
and it's really cool. It's like a '90s time capsule of the tides turning a little bit in the heavy
yeah,
music world. I
hmm
mean, there's a few like I kind of think of 1993 and '94 as like kind of a changing of the guard in terms of like sonic qualities of albums and stuff like that. Because
yeah,
1992 all the way up through 1992, in a lot of music, you still have some like very 80s production techniques. But around 93, 94, that's where they started to get killed off a bit, and people started going for more dry,
yeah,
room sounding albums as opposed to like concert hall reverb vibe.
yeah.
Um, and there's some elements of the 80s production that got a bit played out, but I'm always going to listen to the original version of 10. Like I'm
Oh,
never going to want to hear it without reverb. That's
yeah, no,
part of the
no,
album for me.
that's no. I've heard it once. I've heard the Brendan O'Brien mixed version of 10, and it's fine, but there's too much nostalgia in that album for
Yeah.
me I have to hear it the way that it originally sounded, which is how I feel about a lot of albums. I don't want to hear some remix of it. I want to hear it how it sounded. It's like I just got the 30th anniversary of Come On Phil, the Lemonheads,
Oh
and
yeah.
which I love that album. But in all the reviews, there's so many people that are like, they didn't even remaster it, and I'm like, no, it doesn't need it. It's on a
Yeah.
it's but all the but remaster people have like I think or have been fooled into thinking that remastering is something that's necessary, and it's
No.
not. In some cases, rare cases, I would say, sure, an album could maybe use with a remastering, but for the most
Yeah.
part, I'm like, just put it out the way that it sounded because it
It
sounds
was
great.
fine then and it's fine now.
Yeah, like if you didn't like the way it sounded, then why do you want to buy it?
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing that's like, but at this point it's a way for record labels to make more money off of an album that they could just repress. But now they can be like, oh, we're going to get more people in because we're going to say remastered from the original audio tapes. And it's like, well, the original one was mastered from the original audio tape, so
Yeah. Yeah.
just repress that. But anyway, that's another vinyl gripe that I have. But I don't want that. If it was up to me, every single reissue would have a plain vanilla, like this is just a repressing of the original one in case you don't own it, and I'd be like, boop, thank you very much.
And here's my thing as well, right? Remastered, sure. Remixed, you're pushing your luck. And re-recorded, just no. Like, you're never going to capture the magic of the original thing you've put out. I understand that if it's a shitty record contract that you're in and you're forced to make it, sure. But don't also then remove the original version and
Yeah,
then only ever release the re-recorded version. It's like you're bastardizing your own fucking legacy. Stop it!
yeah. And the problem is that some people will never know the difference. They'll just think that's how these albums sound, and I'm just like, oh, it's so sad. But and I
I
don't,
will say,
go ahead.
no, you go first because I can.
I was just gonna say, like, I would hope that eventually it comes to an end, but so many people seem to put so much stock into remastering that I'm just like, it's just gonna keep going, and I'm just gonna have to traverse the waters of remastered albums and shit.
Yeah, it's like with me. One example where I was like, okay, maybe I would rather listen to this than that version. There's two Megadeth albums that I point to where it's like the original's better or the remaster is better. Um, and so Cryptic Writings, the original is by far the superior version.
Hmm.
Whereas for me, I never heard the original version of So Far So Good So What. So
Oh,
I've always heard the remastered version of that,
yeah.
but that album always had notoriously shitty production. So like I've only ever heard the remaster, and that's like
Hmm.
one of very few examples where I would actually probably take the newer version over the old.
Yeah.
However that being said, I'm almost always going to go for the original in most cases. But like
Yeah.
the Megadeth remasters are an interesting example of overdoing,
Oh shit.
like
Yeah.
rewriting history basically.
Yeah, I like the way So Far So Good So What sounds, but it's just because it just sounds like a time period and a kind of production. I really wish that people would look at music the way they look at like old movies, because for
Yeah, just
because
leave
now
them
because for
be.
a long time people were trying to like colorize black and white movies and all this stuff, and for the most part it's just they're classic because they're from that era and they look like that. And I just
Yeah.
think that with music it should be looked at the same way. Like it sure, So Far So Good So What doesn't sound great, but I none of it bothers me. I put that album on and
Yeah.
I 100% enjoy it no matter what. So I guess that it doesn't really affect me at all.
I'm really worried about the day that um people start feeding 80s movies into AI
Oh,
and
Jesus.
have it look like it was shot in 2023. I don't want an 80s movie to look like it was shot in 2023 because in a minute when the soundtrack fires up, it's going to be this like fucking audio visual dissonance of what the fuck am I looking at? You know?
Yeah.
I don't want The Breakfast Club to look like it was shot in HD. It was shot in 1985 and it should stay that way, you know? I'm
Yes.
I'm not saying that new movies that have to come out have to look like that. I'd probably like if a director was bold enough to get
Oh,
together a thing and have it look authentically like shot on those like old cameras and that.
yeah. Whenever a movie comes out and it has like an overall like aesthetic thing where it's a certain type, like they've affected the film or they've made it look a certain
Yeah.
way, I always enjoy that so much more because I'm like, we have the technology now that you could literally set the mood of your movie in any way, making it look,
Yeah.
fucking with the colors, fucking with the, film grain, quote unquote, or whatever. So I love it when directors do that, or editors, whoever the fuck is the one that makes the decision in that. But and it makes me enjoy movies more. Like
Yeah.
that is a way to get me into a movie. If I see a trailer and I go, oh, this looks really stylized and interesting, and that to me, because I'm like, even if the movie isn't great, I might enjoy the aesthetics of it all. But
For sure.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, but then there are younger people, much even much younger than you, that are
Yeah.
probably they when they buy a new TV, they leave it with that weird smoothing thing on, so everything
Oh,
looks like a soap opera.
I hate it. I hate that. Like
I
it's
hate it
it's
too.
it's it gives me that like uncanny valley feeling, you know, where it's like
When,
this isn't even what real life looks like.
whenever that's there's many reasons why I don't hang out with people, but one of them is if somebody invites me over to their house and they have a TV on and I can see that smoothing shit is on, it takes everything in me to stop myself from just grabbing the remote and being like, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is not what it's supposed to look like.
No.
Um, but once again, I think if you buy a TV and your primary, that's the word. Your primary focus is watching like sports. Sure, maybe you want things to be like I'm at the game. It's really clear and everything. But that's not me. So I just but it really bugs me, and I know that it
Mm.
shouldn't. There are so many things that just bug me, and if I take a step back, I go, Stephen,
The average person is not bothered by
it
this,
doesn't.
but I am.
Just get over yourself and shut up. But I guess I wouldn't be me if I didn't have those little eccentricities or whatever. Is that was that the word?
Yeah, eccentricities. Yeah,
I
quirks.
got words in there. Are we still doing? Are you done with Undertow?
Yeah, I'm wrapped up on Undertow.
Cool.
We need to get this show on the road.
All right. No, we're gonna make this last a long time. In fact, this review is gonna be just like a Tool song, so it's gonna be like this. All right, ready? My. Number. Four. Album. Is. You see what I'm saying? Like there was no need for it to be that long. Anyway, my number 4 is I don't know what Eddie is doing. We've become a completely different band now. I don't know what this is. I'm not going to stop him, folks.
Ranked and ranked. I ate a pizza before we started recording. Bling, ding, bling, ding. Sorry.
That was very deep. My number.
We should put like an interlude between every ranking.
No.
Oh, what a fucking mess that would be.
Yeah. No, my number 4 is Lateralis from 2001.
Oh shit! They're gonna come to your house.
Yeah, well, this was my jumping off point with Tool because there had been a little bit of a gap, before this album, and when it came out, I just did not have time for this. When some of it's really fucking good. I think that's probably what made me jump off the Tool bandwagon at this point, was because the highs are really high and the lows are pretty low. But when it comes to overall quality, once again, it's there. It sounds fucking great. It's very well done.
Yeah.
But at this point, they've shed so much of what made them fully engaging to me that this is going to sound petty, probably, saying it this way, but it sounds like Tool came back with a new album, and it sounds like they have a lot of money, and they don't really need. They sound like now they're rich. This is rich Tool. Now, you could say the word rich, and it's relative, because none of them are fucking Elon Musk or whatever. But for something about it, it just sounds like rich dudes in a room that are spending a lot of time talking about wine, and the actual songwriting is more like, that part's good, can we do that for 10 minutes, kind of thing. But all right, it's the Lateralis is so frustrating for me because there are so many examples. And you could point to this album and go, "Hey, this is a progression for Tool," and I would agree with you 100%. Just not progressing in the way that I want. So I know this is a personal thing, but it is expanding their sound. So I can't fault them for that. And there's so much on this album. I'll just single out Parabola as an example of something that's so fucking good. Where like you play me that song and I'm like, yeah, like fuck everything else when Parabola is on, but I at the time I was, after hearing the album, I bought it when it came out, and after hearing it, I was just like, I don't really feel like listening to this again, and I never went back to it. And over the years, I've listened to it again just randomly. And I have the same feeling where like some of it is so good and some of it I just think doesn't, it's not what I want when I go listen to Tool. So it's so easy for me within a handful of, well, not a handful, within a couple songs in this album for me to go, you know what? I'm going to put Anima or Anima, fuck them for that title, and
Anima, anima.
or Undertow on, because that's what I want. Because that's,
Hmm.
I came on board with Tool with that, and that's what I fell in love with, and that's what was impactful for me. This is not impactful for me. So obviously, if I was 15 years old when this album came out, I'd probably feel a lot different. But
Hmm.
my gripes about this album are not that it's not a progression and it's not good quality and it's not impressive in many ways. It's just that it's moving away from what I felt made Tool not only unique, but also, I guess the best word is engaging, because there's a disconnect now with what they're
Hmm.
doing. And my disconnect is thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people's connection, and I understand that. But it really was at the time pretty disappointing, because it sounds like something that if you just cut things here and there and pasted things here and there, it would be fantastic. But
Hmm.
there's just so much about it where I just go, this is not what I want. And so I had to put it at number 4. I thought about putting this one higher, just trying to be a little more objective or whatever. But
No, man, stay true to how you feel. Like
yeah, it's
that.
really hard with some bands that were and are very important to me because of a certain chunk of music they made,
Yeah.
to divorce myself from that feeling. And I tried. I listened to it again, and man, some of it is, I'm telling you, some of it is so good. Um,
Yeah.
but no, but overall, the other three, the first three things Tool put out to me are the best Tool. So that's how they ended up.
Fair. I definitely I have it higher, but
Mhm.
I can see how it is. I do get the rich man's Tool. Uh,
That was not
yeah.
fair. That's not fair. But that's what
But
I feel.
well, here's the. I think what it is that people have elevated Lateralis to legendary status. Like
Sure.
it's the number one spot for most of the outlets that I've scanned, just
Uh
to
huh.
get a feel for the general fan feelings, as I do with every band. Scan a few lists, compare them to mine, see if I'm looking at things uh, a little myopically, or if I am right.
Yeah.
Uh, but like it, it really it's one of those things where it's either a jumping off point or the culmination of everything that led to it.
Hmm.
Um, and the people that love Lateralis will swear by it like it's the fucking Bible. And
Yeah.
then there's people who are like, okay, this is where they started to fillet themselves a little.
Yeah.
Um,
They, as Howard H. Smith would put it, they started to disappear up their own asses a little bit.
yeah, I get both sides of the argument, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that's that. Your number four, yeah.
Yeah. That's my number 4.
Cool. So I'm going to jump straight into my number three, which is the latest offering, Fear Inoculum.
Okay.
And I saw them on this tour.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years later after the pandemic had died down. Um,
I feel like this album came out right before the pandemic. I feel like it was a matter of months, maybe.
Let me have a look. Let me see if I can. Where is it?
It was 2019, but I think it was the fall of 2019, maybe.
Let's have a look here. Released August 30th, so like right at the end of the summer. So yeah, this had like
They had
like
about six
six
months.
6 months of normality left before the
Yeah.
world completely shut down.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Fear Inoculum, huge epic opener. Really love how spacey and atmospheric the sound of this album is.
Mhm.
Um, like all of their albums are atmospheric, but this one in particular just sounds fucking fantastic. And
Yeah.
normally I have a lot of gripes about how modern metal sounds, but this one,
Oh yeah, there when no, there's they are their production of their stuff is always like absolute class to me, like
mm,
just the way that it's presented.
yeah, like even Lateralis that came out in 2001, a notoriously shitty era for
Yeah.
albums to sound.
Yes.
Um, it sounds great. But yeah, Fear Inoculum, huge epic opener. Numa, awesome. Love it. Love the atmosphere. Litany contre la peur is it's probably a some sort of prank. You know, knowing that they put a German sugar cookie recipe on one of their albums. I'm
Yeah.
probably getting punked right now. It's a little interlude. Invincible for me is the highlight of the album. That like I hadn't actually listened to this album until I'd seen the band live last year with obviously with Callum, and the the first time I heard this song, I looked at him like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, like, but it's not in like a cliche metalcore like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just really straight like, oh, love it. Simplicity groove is
Mhm.
the Pantera route, me likey. Legion Inoculant is another like uh interlude bit. Descending's cool. Culling Voices is cool. Chocolate Chip Trip is basically a showcase for Danny Carey's incredible drumming. Tempest, spelt with a 7 as the T. Groovy riffs are plenty. And Mocking Beat is animal noises, heavily affected. Um, it's a awesome fucking collection of great sounding stuff. And I really like it. I do think some of the song lengths definitely read like, ah, fuck. Well, people didn't like all the interludes, so we're just gonna call them parts of the song and have all
Yeah.
the songs be 10 plus minutes, but okay, cool. But for me, I really found myself enjoying above all else how this album sounds, and some of the songs on there just really hit. Like when they do, I feel like this is how to come back after 13 years with the highlights of this album
Hmm.
and how it sounds. And I love all of the really cool, like new percussive stuff that Danny Carey is still adding to this day. Like all
Hmm.
those, like those, it's almost like a synthwave clap, like
Yeah.
really cool stuff. Like we said, like there's no real wrong answer to this because it's all great stuff as
Yeah.
far as we're concerned. It's
Yeah. I mean,
just varying
there's a part of me that feels like
quantities of,
somebody
yeah.
needs to take me to a Tool concert. Any Tool fan out there want to come pay for me to go to a Tool concert? Because maybe that'll
It,
change my mind about a lot of these things. You know, because I haven't seen them live since the '90s. So
what did they do? Like stage show wise back then, it would have been
they
pretty
just
stripped back.
played their songs on a stage.
Yeah, yeah. See this one that I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like a giant net over the top of them, and like all their like artwork and music video sort of artwork is projected onto them, and they kind of play in the shadows, and it's a pretty damn unique way of playing live.
Definitely
Uh,
something that wouldn't look good on a YouTube video, but probably is pretty damn cool while you're there.
it's really cool while you're there, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, that being said, Fear Inoculum, really cool, great sounding album, and great little standout moments on it. I've obviously got it higher than you, but again,
You know
it
what?
it
This is related, but it's not Tool, but it's related. But for some reason, this just reminded me of this. So I don't remember what year it came out. Do you remember when the first Perfect Circle album came out? Was it the late
Oh,
90s or early
2000.
2000?
I think it might be like 2000, 2001. Let me have a look at that.
I think it may have been
Perfect
2000,
Circle.
99 or 2000, I want to say. But I went to go see them on the tour for that album because I was actually really into that first Perfect Circle album. I thought it was really good. I still think it's really good. But I just remember the way that the show started, and I wish I have to look this up because I don't know if anybody ever filmed it, but like the it's kind of like a dark stage, and then there's some spotlights, and if I remember right, there's a table, and two women sit down at the table and start playing cards, and it becomes very clear that they're playing strip poker, and they each
Ah,
start taking off parts of their clothing. Like this is happening live on stage, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" And then I mean, this is one of those things where I go, "Did I dream this, or was this really how they started their show?" So, and then at one point, obviously, it gets to the point where one of them is about to take a bra off. She's taking her bra off. The lights go down, and it almost feels like it was a split second. All of a sudden, they're gone, and the band's there, and they start playing. And I just remember being like, "That was fucking impressive."
yeah.
But now, like 25 years later, almost, there's my brain goes, "Was that real? Did I make that up in my head? Is that the way that the Perfect Circle started their show?" If you saw that tour, tell me, did that actually happen? That was in Austin, Texas, when I saw them. But
I'm being a naughty boy and googling a perfect circle strip poker.
it was is it
I
is can you watch it? Is it out there?
don't know. As far as I can tell, I've just got a screen full of chips with boobs on them. Yep. Yep. Nah. No luck
All right.
yet, but
I'm
we'll
gonna
hunt
do a
that
little
down.
work, but if whoever's watching this, if you went to that first Perfect Circle tour, do I remember that correctly? Because that's a memory I have. Anyway, yeah. Are we on to my number three now?
Yeah. Yeah. Over to you.
My number three is Opiate from 1992. Their debut EP. I'll be quick
Cool.
about this because you already kind of talked about it. I heard this after I heard Undertow because I became a very big fan of Undertow, and then I went back and bought this.
Cool.
And I'll get to my first concert experience with Tool a little bit later. But the first song they played live when I saw them was Cold and Ugly, that's a
Nice.
fucking amazing opener right there.
Yeah.
But and for a long time, like on Access Television in Austin, the show I would watch where they would play a lot of lesser known music videos, they would play the video for Hush all the time. Which, if you haven't seen the video, it's like the band members are naked, but they have like parental advisory labels over their genitals
All
and
right.
butts, and it's just slow motion them walking and then turning around and it backing up and you seeing the band, and then all, if I remember right, then they start foaming at the mouth, but they're all just kind of standing there foaming at the mouth. Nobody,
Yeah.
no band playing, no lip syncing or anything. That's just the whole video.
I
um
think I might have a long time ago, but I
it's
can't be
got to
certain.
be on YouTube out there.
Oh
but
yeah.
but anyway, this is like very stripped back Tool. um and they would easily improve on every aspect of what is Tool. But you made a good point about the actual song Opiate. It kind of feels like they've already pretty much laid the groundwork of like the Tool sound, and that's
Mm.
impressive in itself because they were
Yeah.
a young band who already sounded so unique with what they were doing. There were other bands that I guess you could lump them in with at the time, but I think the overall combination of what those four dudes were doing at the time, they really stood out. Um,
Didn't they get signed after like 7 shows or something crazy?
I mean, could be, I don't know, but I mean, if this is like, just hearing those two live tracks, I'm like, man, they were
Yeah.
powerful and great live early on. So, but yeah, I put it at number three because I love it and I love the sound of this. But I as much as I would criticize the Tool fans that are perfectly okay with a lot of the sameness and drawn out shit. I also would criticize the person that's like, "Oh, it's the best thing they ever did." I'd be like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing they ever did, but it is very good, and I very much enjoy it. So I put it at number three. So moving on to our top two.
Okay, so I guess my number two is Lateralis.
Man, we are 100% different on this list. Isn't that what Black Flag was like too? Aren't we completely different on that list?
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting one
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. But like their discography starts right at the end of like my golden era of like I would say like my area of expertise is like 84 to 94. So they
yeah.
come in like right at the end of that. So I don't really have any biases attached to Tool. So I
Sure.
can be a
Yeah,
little bit more, okay, what did I just like more about this than I did that? You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Whereas this came out in 1992. That means it's the best one. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like, I need to turn off some of my biases for some bands, but this one I can be a bit more free flowing with it.
Hmm.
Lateralis, I mean, I know it's your kind of stepping off point, but for me, I was introduced to this album pretty much like right after Anima. So I was kind of like, this is fucking cool. It's a bit different to Anima, but it's clearly them doing some really cool stuff. You got The Grudge, this like explosively epic opener. Then immediately after, you've got this like short little interlude called Eon Blue Apocalypse. Then you get The Patient, which I have described as plinky plonky, holy shit. Uh, see, like a lot of Tool songs do that thing where it's like but down count like yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I love that, like really explosive. I love when they do those like quiet loud quiet things, you know. I mean,
yeah.
they're a band of the 90s, so of course they do that, but this band in particular does it very well.
Hmm.
Mantra is an interlude. Schism is one of the iconic Tool songs at this point. You know, every bass player I've ever met is like, "Hey, I can play this."
Oh, the number of times that like warming up at a band practice, I've just played it on guitar, like it because it's fun to play it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily hard to play, but or I mean, it doesn't seem hard to me anyway. But
Mm.
it's very fun, and so like I'll just be warming up the guitar, tuning it, and I'll just go you know, very fun.
Yeah, it's one of those that's like it just catches everybody's ear, and they're like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool." Like, but then you get Parable, which is an interlude-ish kind of track into Parabola,
Hmm.
which is the main event. This song's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Ticks and Leeches, I absolutely love. The drum work on this song
Hmm.
is insanely good. Yeah, Danny Carey is a beast. Lateralis, the title track, is killer. Disposition is kind of vibey. Reflection, now I get lost in Reflection. Like this is a prime example of Tool doing something kind of drawn out, but it's got all the ingredients there where I'm like, okay, I can vibe with this for the next 10 or so minutes. This is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and it's got some heavy moments in it too. Triad is groovy, and Fape de Oid, Fap de Oid, uh,
Yep.
one last interlude type thing. Really, it's a really well crafted album, but I definitely get that it's a stylistic shift where they went from being this cool um alternative metal thing to we're prog metal now, and we're,
Yeah.
you know, I can see how the shift is one of well, the focus isn't on my preferred side of things, but I like Lateralis because it's Lateralis, but I like my number one because my number one is particularly tasty. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which is my number two, which is
Hey.
Enema. You know, every time I say that album title, I always say fuck them for naming it that.
Yeah.
But I've been saying that since 1996. So there was a big build up to this album for me because I was a huge Tool fan, and I worked at Best Buy in the music department around this time, back when
Yeah.
there were music departments in stores like that. I guess we're getting back to that a little bit now, at some
Yeah.
stores, but and I remember, like, it was one of those releases that I was so excited, and we were selling also these limited edition picture discs with trying to remember what the songs were that was on. I don't have it anymore. But I remember I was so excited, like I had like hidden away a copy of the album and one of those. So on the day of release, I could get it. Nobody was gonna. They weren't gonna sell out. I was gonna buy one, and so I did. Um, and funny enough, a funny story about this one is that the day that album was released was the first day I ever got a traffic ticket while driving.
Wow.
And it's always going to be burnt in my memory because I was at work. I got off work in the middle of the afternoon. I was driving in my car, and I had the Tool CD and that picture disc in my seat, ready to go home and listen to it. And all of a sudden, right as I'm pulling up to my house, when I parked on the street at my parents' house, a cop pulls up right behind me, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, what is he doing? Because like I'm parking, and I literally was
Yeah.
already getting out of the car when he was pulling up, and I'm just like, what? Okay. And the cop comes
Yeah.
over to me and he says, do you know why I pulled you over? Which I hate it when cops do that shit, because I'm all like,
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm young and I'm black and my hat's real low. Do I look like a mind reader, sir? I don't know. Anyway, thanks, Jay Z. But and I was like, no. And he goes, well, you failed to stop completely while turning right on that red light back there. And I remember just looking at him like, are you serious? Like, you didn't even have to do any work for this. I pulled over myself. And the cop was still just like, I thought, well, like, oh, okay. But I thought, yeah, surely that's a warning. But I know this motherfucker saw my long hair, and I was all, I looked grungy at the
Yeah.
time. And he wrote me a ticket for not stopping completely while turning right on a red light, which I don't know if those same laws work in England, where if there's a red light and you have to stop completely and then you can turn right if the light is red. But I guess for you guys it would be
I
left.
It would
It
be
would be
left,
left.
yeah.
Anyway,
I'm not sure how, like, I'm not sure. I know that some of our red lights have like a little green arrow, like extra green light, where it's
ours do
like,
too. Yeah,
yeah, where it's like, hey, look, it's red going straight, but if you want to go left, you can. Um,
yeah. For us, if it's red, if it's fully red, there's no green arrow at all or anything, and you're turning right, which essentially means just from street to street. You're not crossing over anywhere. You still
yeah,
have to stop completely, like you would at a four-way stop or something like that. But
yeah. I think that's less of a thing over here because we've got so many roundabouts that
yeah,
so like
but
9 times out of 10 they'll opt for the roundabout as opposed to an
yeah.
intersection.
So that being said, I got a ticket for a stupid reason, and the cop didn't have to do any work whatsoever.
Yeah.
But whatever. I got home and I listened to
How
Anima.
much? How much? How much was the ticket? How
Um,
bad was the
well, you
fine?
well you have the option here to take defensive driving, which is a class that you go to,
Uh,
where you basically just go through a session of a driving class, and you take a test, and if you do that, you don't have to pay anything. I don't know if that's the same way
okay.
now. I haven't had a ticket in such a long time, but that's what I did at the time. I ended up taking this defensive driving course. But anyway, uh, Anima was. It took a little bit for me to get into it.
Mm.
because it doesn't have the immediate punch that Undertow has. It has some of it, but they definitely started to fuck with dynamics a lot more, which is, which would
Yeah.
become the name of the game for Tool. But even then though, listening to the album at that point, I still was overall listening to it thinking, man, this is a huge step forward for this band. Because I just remember
Yeah.
thinking they've totally expanded what they're doing, and there's still a little bit of that thing that I love. Not a little. There's a good amount of what I loved from Undertow on this album as well. But they really expanded what they were doing, and I was very impressed with it at the time. I still am pretty impressed with it. But at however many years later, almost 30 years later, um, listening to this album, I can hear just as many things that are inferior as I can hear things that are superior. So it's a very
Mm.
weird album for me because there are parts of it where I go, there's no denying that this is an improvement in a whole lot of ways from
Mm.
Undertow. Um, but they start. This is the beginning of them because on Undertow, they still fuck with dynamics where there are parts where there's extended parts. I mean, a good example is the middle of the song "Bottom," where it's
Mm.
very mellow and it's just Henry Rollins doing his Rollins thing. Um, but this is the album where all of a sudden I feel like in certain spots there were things where it was extended to where I like they could have cut a minute off of that or so. Um, so they're starting to go down that path of we're leaning into this side of the dynamics a little bit more. And I get it because by 1996, having dudes like me being into your band, everybody hated me. That was the thing that fucking sucked. That there were so many bands that I loved, but you would see interviews with these bands, and who were they talking shit about? Me. They were
Yeah.
yeah, like No Effects didn't like metal people that were into them. Tool didn't like metal people that were into them. I don't think they flat out said that, but you got that that I don't know, that feeling.
Yeah.
But there was a whole lot of bands like that. They were very quick to be like, "Fuck these people," and I'm like, "That's me." I'm
Yeah.
I, I'm the metal guy, but at the same time, I appreciate all these things. And so, but I feel like that I felt that a little bit in the album. But when it comes to, I think the Tool that most people love, like I think this is like the beginning of that. The them really stepping into the direction of um I don't know what exactly. I ran out of words. Thanks, Tool. Um, it's great. Like that's the thing. Overall, like to me, it's an unfuckwithable album. But like I said, I'm bringing my personal enjoyment into it and listening to these albums all in a row. Listening to Undertow. To be fair, Undertow hasn't aged where I think it's fucking perfect. But
Mm.
following that with this, some of it is so great, and then some of it I go, this is stepping into that direction where I go, they need to wrap this song up right now, and then I have to wait another 3 minutes for the song to wrap up.
Yeah.
So but sometimes like the actual song Enema or whatever, that's one of the songs, right? Why the fuck am I blanking? We've been talking for too long. Whatever that song is, there's a song that really has an extended section that I think is perfectly fucking done.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, whatever.
It's the one that goes.
That one, that one, Arizona Bay. I've always called it Arizona Bay, but it's not called that.
Have you ever
Anyway,
heard that? Have you ever heard that parody that someone did? Like they've either done it with an AI vocoder sort of thing, or they've just done a really good Maynard James Keenan impression.
uh-uh.
But they've taken Anima and put like the lyrics to apple bottom jeans to it, and it's so fucking funny. Shawty had apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. The whole club was looking at her, and she. Next thing you know, shawty.
So little did you know, your microphone started farting right at the beginning. Hold on, it made it so much better. It's almost like it waited for you to start doing that, and then you heard it creep in a little more and a little more, and now it's starting to leave. This is one of the interesting things this is the interlude. Ready? Do it now. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's pretty much it's going away now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, I love it when that sneaks into an actual episode where we know we're going to keep it in.
Yeah.
I don't know why these wonderful Yeti Nano mics have these weird quirks about them, where it's like, oh, just for a few seconds, we're going to have some of this weird farty distortion shit, and then it goes away, and then everything's fine again. It's weird.
I've thought about us. I've thought about us like maybe getting a sponsorship or something, but I'm just really dubious as to whether or not that's gonna work now, because it's like a running gag on this show that every now and again it gets like diarrhea.
Yeah,
like they work great. It's just every now and again I think it's something to do with how I have my computer set up that it just.
I don't know, because mine did that for a little while too, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeti Nano, they're fantastic.
Fantastic. Pay us.
But yeah, I don't really have much else to add with Enema, because I feel like I'm trying to over-explain it, and it just comes down to the fact that I fell in love with a band doing a specific thing, and they started to move away from that thing. And even though I arguably the album is better, it's, I have my gripes about it. But it's a fucking classic at this point, and it had to go at number 2. But it's not my number 1. But like I have a little bit of gripes about my number 1 as well. So we'll get there eventually. But that leads us in to you talking about the same album, which is your number 1.
Anima is my number 1. And
let's just start calling it Anima.
Okay, so yeah, Anima is
all night.
Just thought of like either Paul Stanley in Tool or
oh dude,
shut it.
No, it'd be like
all right, Hammond.
He doesn't do that anymore. I saw footage of him recently. I don't think he really does that anymore. But man, back in
who are you to wave your finger?
Dude,
must have been out of your head.
You must have had a little bit of taste of alcohol.
I know you like the taste of vodka and orange juice.
That's the kind that see. Those are the things like it's all great seeing these videos where they make James Hetfield sing Britney Spears and all that stuff, because I love it.
Yeah.
But that's what I really want. Like let's put Paul Stanley in Tool and things like that, because that would be brilliant. It's gonna happen. Everyone's gonna fuck with everything in every conceivable way possible, to where all of a sudden nobody's gonna care anymore. But,
dude, I saw one the other day. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but they had put SpongeBob and King Julian from Madagascar over It Wasn't Me, and all of like the more melodic parts were obviously SpongeBob.
Yeah.
How could I forget that I had given her an extra key?
And then it's like all of the, I can't remember any of the Shaggy parts, but like King Julian comes in with like, I'm just gonna gibberish my way through. It's like It's just so fucking funny. Like it
Yeah.
just works so well. But oh man, that's the main thing that's like made me think, okay, maybe this AI thing ain't too bad.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
It's gonna get to the point where we're gonna see so many problems evolving
Yeah.
out of AI, and
Yeah.
I'm just curious about how far it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm concerned mainly more in the how accurate was Terminator with the timeline, because we're closing in on 2029, and I remember that being a particularly important date in the first movie, wasn't it? Like that was when
I don't.
I can't remember. I just remember like the opening shot of the first Terminator, or is it the second where uh it's like Los Angeles 2029. The
That
war in
probably
the
is the first one.
yeah. Fucking scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's exactly going to happen. I think it's going to be more. We're going to have some sort of. Well, I don't know about overseas, but in America, we're going to have some sort of probably social crumbling of that where normal ass folk and technology is. That's
Yeah.
gonna cause some awful shit.
Well,
But maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I think the fact that we now have AI girlfriend apps paints a very sad picture of where we're at. It's like, man, come on.
Some people, if that keeps them off the streets hurting people, then sure,
Yeah,
let's have
yeah.
enjoy your AI girlfriend. She's, I don't know.
Hey, man. Like, sex robots are a decade away, I hope.
But I think they already have, real dolls and all that
All right,
kind of
okay.
stuff.
Affordable sex robots.
You're right. You're right. You're right. We've looked into it. They're not affordable.
Don't those real dolls go for something like $6,000? Not that I've been looking.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like I don't get off on having sex with a corpse, and so that's how it would feel
Oh.
for me. Because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, well, this is just a hunk of prosthetic whatever.
Yeah.
That's very strange. I mean, maybe I'm lucky that I don't desire that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Anyway, that's a different story altogether.
It's a whole other debate on ethics at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah. Stinkfist. Absolute banger to kick things off.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing as well. I feel like once you've been a Tool fan for a while, or at least a fan of this song, you forget how abrasive the title Stinkfist actually is.
Yeah.
Like, I just think to myself, oh, hell yeah, you ever heard this song? It's called Stinkfist. And everybody's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you disgusting pervert?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm just there like, no, it's a really good song. It's like, it's a song about fisting. And I'm like, kinda. You could argue it's about it's a more philosophical take on being fisted. But yeah, it is. The song is called Stinkfist, and it's a great song. And granted, Tool didn't play it when I saw them, but Brass Against did, and that was good fun.
Nice.
Hearing brass instruments going like groove, me likey. Eulogy. This track has a lot to say. It also has a 2-minute long plinkety plink intro and a killer chorus.
You see what? Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like
Killer
that
chorus.
that
Sorry.
lead in takes a little bit of time. Once you've heard the song a bunch of times, it's like
Yeah.
wrap it
It's
up.
like yeah. That could have easily been halved, if not quartered in length. But
But they were, but they're
Pushing the
dealing,
boundaries.
they're fucking with dynamics, and I understand you're setting this mood, and then I understand why they do the things they do. I'm just disagreeing with it being enjoyable for me.
Yeah. I will say though, I like the
Yep.
Yep.
You apparently you really like it.
Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
That makes it sound like it's some kind of song from the Muppet Show or something.
I was literally thinking the fucking Muppets when I was doing it. I like saw myself in the little window and I thought, oh my god, I look like a Muppet. Okay, H, full stop.
Yep.
Love the vibiness of this track. And this is where we enter a trend that, as far as I'm concerned, Tool didn't need to do, but we're here. We've arrived at interlude land.
Yeah.
With Useful Idiot, which is some static noise, which leads into probably my favorite Tool song next to Stinkfist, 46 and 2. Fucking love that song. Incredible. Yep. Love every second of it. You get Message to Harry Manback, a funny rant with some dramatic, moody piano accompaniment. Now, this interlude I found entertaining.
Yeah.
Hooker with a Penis. What a song title and what a song. Awesome.
Sometimes I hear that song and I go, they're talking about me. Like, I didn't call them a sellout, but I'm all like, I like that earlier stuff better. And now, like, every time if they play that song live, they're gonna be like, old head. This song's about old head. Fuck you, buddy. Anyway.
Yeah. It'd be about me too, to be fair. But intermission, a fun little organ version of the motifs in Jimmy, which is some bendy ass goodness. Die Isle von Satan is a cookie recipe with a deliberately menacing fascistic tone.
Yep.
Push It is a vibey, chunky epic. Cesaro some ability. Instant skip from me. The demented baby noises are a no from me. The moment baby noise enters, it just, I don't know what it is. I think it's probably because of my fucked up birth where I tried to come out the wrong way. Babies just freak me out. Like the fragility
does
of
your
a baby.
girlfriend know this?
Yes.
Is she? I don't know about your relationship, but you may need to tell her.
She wants some
Babies
less than I do.
me out. Okay, all right, good. Then we're all good.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah, she won't find out from the show. We get anima or unima. You go up to just a random Tool fan and you're like, hey, you like unima? And they're gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's the way it's actually pronounced. They talked about it on Cranked and Ranked.
That weird ass hybrid AE actually goes. Imagine if you could convince them that that's actually how it was said. They just went off and just started going, number.
I mean, really, you can assign any pronunciation you want to. It's like it's AENIMA. It's pronounced blue. All right, that's what the album is called.
Oh no, you're saying it wrong. It actually goes.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Dash Ions, which is 4 minutes of evil scientist electro cartoon noise. And then we have Third Eye, which is 14 minutes of Tool closing the album with a big old epic complete with a Bill Hicks bit.
Yep.
Not to mention, Brian, open my third eye! Brian! I was going to keep going, but my throat already started to hurt.
Oh. Well,
I rushed out.
You've given 110% of yourself today, so don't worry about that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and you got Bill Hicks in the fucking artwork for the album too. Bill Hicks was a big deal for me when I was younger too, because he's from Texas, was from Texas, but that was another thing that on Access Television when I was growing up, you would see footage of him doing stand-up acts at clubs, and you would often see them play this low-budget, fucked up, stupid movie he was in called Ninja Bachelor Party. Yeah. And there may have been other ones too, but I remember Ninja Bachelor Party. Now I got to go fucking look that up and see if it's on YouTube. It's got to be. But I just remember that always being on, and like I thought Bill Hicks was fucking hilarious, and I loved everything about him. Rest in peace, Bill. He was taken from us too early. I wonder what he would think about today's world. I don't know, but I'll just ask Dennis Leary. Anyway, but yeah, Enema's fucking great. But to be fair, you mentioned so many tracks where there's literally not anything happening in those tracks.
Yeah, again, like I say, I could totally live without all of those interludes, but
Yeah.
the actual meat of the content of that album is just banger after banger for me.
All right, and I'm glad that you put it that way, because the reason why Undertow from 1993 is my number one is that it's all meat. It is
Yes.
the all meat tool that that I enjoy. If you're going to
Complete
give
with
me
shaft, glands, and balls
and two giant pendulous bowls.
of meat.
But yeah, so this was a big deal for me. So there's nostalgia here. So I'm perfectly fine with me throwing that out there.
Absolutely.
The thing that sucks is that I noticed I've seen over the years there are some people that look at the idea of nostalgia like it's a bad thing, and I'm just like, I mean, we're all only on this planet for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And we all carve out our own ways to enjoy our lives. And who cares if, because like, a lot of what I do here is all pure nostalgia. I'll occasionally talk about newer things, but it's a lot of older stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why that's bad, but whatever.
And then you get into the territory where I'm at, where it would be known as Anamoya, which is a
that's the next Tool album.
Yeah.
Unamoya.
Yeah, I mean that, and as you may know, and as far as the audience knows, that is nostalgia for a time you weren't even in. But I grew up playing Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, and San Andreas, so I might as well have been there.
Yeah, and it comes at you in different ways. But this one for me, because it was so impactful for me, and I was a young teenager at the time, and I was taking in all of this music and expanding my brain, but also becoming who I legitimately am, and I can't do anything about it, which is I like heavy, engaging, aggressive music. For the most part, there are some things I like that go to the left or to the right of that, but for the most part, if a band has a straightforward, no bullshit, heavy, aggressive version of their sound, 9 times out of 10, that's probably going to be my favorite thing that they did. But yeah, seeing the sober video was a big deal for me. I bought the album. I loved it. I talked about it earlier. And I just loved the idea that this felt like music that was new, but also had the riffs and the groove and the stuff that kind of attracted me, but felt not only new, but also had an honesty to it. It felt more heart on sleeve than I don't know, Pearl Jam or Going to the Other Side of Things, Metallica or stuff like that, where a lot of lyrics would be about like this is this political thing, this social thing. I felt like even though I didn't 100% understand all of Maynard's lyrics, it felt like very like bearing my soul kind of stuff. And I really, I guess that would be emo, prior to, the overdoing of that. But it's emotional, and I felt that at the time. So it was a very unique combination of things for me: the heaviness, the emotional quality, the fact that it didn't sound like anything that I listened to at the time or had heard. So it was a big deal. And I put the album on now, and it still has that kind of impact for me. But my gripe about the album now is that now I hear certain songs, like especially when you go later on in the album, and I go, "Oh, this is real similar in the skeleton of the song to another song already on this album," and I'm just like, "Oh, I kind of hear they have the Tool thing, But at that point, it was like, oh, you kind of hear that they had this one area of Tool, and that's kind of all they were playing in. So it would make sense that the next album they would expand in other directions, because if they had stayed doing that, we may have just gotten the same exact album again from them. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the only gripe I have. But overall, I put this on and I'm transported right back to 93 and or 94 when I went to go see them live. And long story short, my first concert experience, I had an older, bigger gentleman standing behind me. I was pretty much at the front of the stage when Tool started. And there was like, the little metal barricade thing, and then a handful of security. And this older, bigger gentleman taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, you see that security guard?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I want you to take him out." And I'm like, and this is like, what was I, 15 at this point? And I'm just like this little long-haired, scrawny kid. And I'm just like, what? And he goes, "You take him out." So once again, I don't know if I 100% remember his words correctly, but in my memory, he's like, "You take him out or we're going to go round and round," which meaning he's going to kick my ass. And I remember him saying that to me. And then Tool comes out onto the stage and they start with Cold and Ugly, where literally Maynard says, "You're scared as hell," like in the song. And I'm like, actually, yeah, I am pretty fucking scared right now because I think I'm about to get my head bashed in. Looking at it from an older person's perspective, I'm like, well, fuck that, dude. And that's essentially what I did. I ended up removing myself from that part of the crowd, and I kind of waved the guy off like, I'm just going to go do something real quick. I'll be back to take care of this security guard. And I literally went all the way around to the back of the venue and then came back through the middle where I found a group of other long hairs. And I kind of just like got in between. Didn't even tell my friends who I came with where I was going. I just went and sort of like got in the middle of these other long haired dudes that were all just kind of headbanging the whole time. And but I barely got to enjoy Tool. They were fucking great, but I just remember I'd be enjoying a song and then I would be craning my neck looking for this big old dude who was going to come beat me up. Anyway, it's a very weird first concert experience, and it kind of fucked things up for me for many years, because I kept having, I think I looked like a kid that everybody wanted to beat up. So I would go to shows and then all of a sudden somebody would want to fight me and I would have to remove myself from the situation because I was just like, I don't even do anything. What the fuck what is the deal with me that I look like somebody that everybody wants to fucking punch? So, anyway, so I dealt with that for a long part of my life, but that doesn't happen to me anymore. I used to be the guy that was the doorway. I'd be at a show and when people are trying to come out of the crowd, they'd see me and go like, "Oh, that's how we're getting out." And they would just knock me out of the way. But I think once I got older and grew the beard out, my wife says I look a little bit scary to some people. And I'm like, that's weird. They wait till they get to know me. I'm not scary at all. But I think
definitely helps. Yeah.
That has made it a little bit more where I go to shows now. And maybe it's because I'm older and I don't look like I'm afraid of shit. But people go around me now, and I'm like, cool, all right,
Could get used to this. Hey, kid, you take that guy out.
I really wish that I could go back and find that guy and just be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Were you on something?
Probably.
So anyway, it was fucking weird, but it was they were fucking great. I just, but they like I said, they really were just like a band on stage playing songs. There was nothing special going on.
Yeah.
But it was their first major tour, if I believe, for their first album. So anyway, Undertow's great. I love it. But once again, it's the Tool that I prefer. But
sounded funny.
But I don't necessarily think it's the best album they did. It's my favorite album of what they did, and to me it feels more The fact that they moved away from this makes it feel even more unique now to me than ever.
Yeah.
So I put it in number one. But really, your number one and two are both albums that I could also go, yep, totally could see those at number one also. After that, I have arguments, but those three for sure. It's all fucking quality shit, man. Can't deny that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was that's the ending of our ranking, and as usual, we celebrate the ending of a discography ranking by doing this: 3, 2, 1, yeah! We did it! All right. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
If you're and obviously Peanut Butter Platypus to those of you who are normal listeners and watchers of our show. But if you're a newbie and you're a Tool fan and you lasted to the end of it, high five to you. And feel free to put your ranking in the YouTube comments. To be fair, I don't have time because if you really think about it, we put a lot of thought, even though I had a lot of gripes. We put a lot of thought into what we do. So if you have real critiques about us, put some thought into it. Because if you're literally just like, that fat dude doesn't even know fucking music, fuck him, then it just gets deleted. Because I don't
The
have
Canadian
time
guy's annoying.
yeah, the Canadian guy. I don't know. I don't. That was a weird.
As far as I
Right.
can tell, it was all in good fun. I think it was just lighthearted ribbing trolling. Like,
Well, I think the original one, they just said, "Dude's accent is annoying," and I'm just like,
I think
which dude?
I think, well, that was the thing where it was like, I think it was something to the effect of, dude's got great taste, but his Canadian accent's kind of off-putting.
No,
And
he
it
just
was
said
like,
his accent is off-putting, but then somebody else said, "Yeah, Canadian accents or something." I think that was the piss take right there.
yeah, yeah.
But
I just thought
still,
it was fucking funny.
it's so funny to me because my initial thought was like, well, is this somebody from England? Because maybe I'm the one with the annoying accent. Maybe you need to be more specific.
But you're from Texas. Like, you're about as far from Canada as you can get. Like,
And I don't sound like I'm from Texas. I don't know where I sound like I'm from, but I don't know.
I know that I sound like Bristol by way of LA.
You know what accent I really enjoyed? The Birmingham accent. I really like that.
Birmingham.
Yeah. I don't know why. It just feels good to me. It feels like somebody I want to have a beer with.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever brought this up, but I probably have. But I remember one time I was teasing my girlfriend. She's from Birmingham kind of area, the
okay.
Midlands.
Yeah.
And I was kind of teasing her about like accents and stuff. Like, she was up in my grill about, oh, bloody Cornish accent, bloody hell, yeah. And then I went, oh, I'm from Birmingham. Do you want some chips and gravy? And she was like, we don't fucking talk like that. And we were at Birmingham New Street, like the big Birmingham train station at the time.
Yeah.
And the moment she goes, we don't fucking talk like that. Bing, boom. The next train to Sutton Coldfield leaves at... And it was just like, I turned and did this like smug look where I was like, really now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good fun though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Accents, aren't they funny?
Hell yeah.
We're speaking the same language, but yet we're all so different, aren't we? On that note, let's get the fuck out of here. That was our Tool album ranking. We're going to be back next time with another special episode. What is it? Is it a Grooved and Removed that we're doing next time?
I believe it's a GNR. It's not a GNR, but it is a Grooved and Removed.
Grooved and Removed.
They have the same initials. I do apologize if you all got teased there for a sec.
Yeah, which is that's an episode style we do where we take a handful of classic albums and we argue about if we had to remove one song from the album, what would it be?
And I'll give you guys a clue as to who it is. There you go.
Just make sure that you guys have a little taste of alcohol. Anyway,
I don't know, but I can smell her in the front.
is that a Paul
Yeah.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right, so yeah, we'll be back next time with a groove to review.
I love shaved beaver.
Now I want to go find. I'm going to go listen to the Paul Stanley rant compilations on YouTube because they're fucking great. I love Paul Stanley. Anyway, all right. Oh, that was great. Save that one for next time. All right, so let's get the fuck out of here. We've gone almost as long as a Tool album.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us and for humoring us with our takes on music as usual. You're all beautiful people, and we love you. And as usual, I'm going to throw it over to my good friend Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude, I ate a pizza before we recorded this here podcast. But yeah!
Very effective with the dynamics there. I loved it.
Okay.
All right. Bye.